Are you looking for an escape from manufactured truth wrapped in selfish agenda? Don't you just want to have a real and raw conversation, all masks and rules aside? That's what you're getting here at Titan Evolution Podcast. Get rid of all the nonsense information and discuss everything under the sun without filters. Listen to real stories of real people who will put your current perspectives to the test, guide you on living the life you truly want, and see everything free from judgment and pretenses. Time to get rid of those unhealthy environments and let your authentic self shine. Here are your hosts, Travis Johnson and Carol Carpenter.
Hey, welcome back to the show. I'm Carol Carpenter, and this is my co-host, Travis Johnson. And we have a special guest today, David Roden. Hi, David.
Howdy.
Howdy. David Roden is the co-founder of ALG, Accountable Life Group. And it was formed by individuals who are accountable for their lives in order to change themselves for the better. And he is also the author of Drop the Baggage. At 19, David was over 400 pounds, pre-diabetic, suicidal, and had high blood pressure. A few years later, he started his journey is now a healthy 215 pounds and helps others through his fundamental principles he implemented to create lasting results. Welcome, David.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
We got to work on your intros, Carol. You can't say hello and then leave a gap and then do the intro because he wants to talk if you say hello to him.
It threw me off. I was like, wait.
I do want to say hello to him. I always
say hello people after the intro. Not before the intro. What you can already tell from our intro is that we're super professional.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Suit and tie, always. Suit and tie.
Always. This sounds like a German term. It sounds like you're saying Guten Tag, like Suit and Tag.
Guten Tag.
Very...
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
I sprechen. Yeah.
I don't know German either. I don't. That's all I know.
That's the end of
that's all I got.
Das ist der Stuhl?
I know.
That
like
is their stool.
My wife took German in high school. She doesn't remember shit about German.
It's like me in Spanish.
Yeah.
Hey, I took 3 years of Latin, a dead language, not usable except if you're going to go in the medical field.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I did do quite a bit of that. I was actually pre-med in college. The Latin game I know pretty decently well.
You and I both,
pre-diabetic.
Buddy.
Do you actually finish anything?
No, 100%. Isn't that funny how that works?
That's where
I jump real quick.
You don't want to finish, right? Pre-diabetic,
exactly.
You want to nix it.
We're gonna get out of that early, and it's too funny. But no, it's the Latin game's fun.
Yeah. We had fun. We used to make little phrases like "semper ubi sub ubi." See, he laughed. He gets it. You know what it is, right?
Yep.
I don't know what it is. All I heard was booby in there.
Oh, booty. I didn't say booty.
You did when you crush the words togetger. Booby is one of the outcomes of this.
Semper ubi sub ubi. Always wear underwear.
That goes against my prime directive of never wear underwear.
Yeah.
Let it hang.
This is a Jeff Foxworthy one-liner, but he's like, women's like, oh, hey, I'm not wearing any underwear. Guys are like excited, right? Husband mentions that to the wife. He's like, hey, I'm not wearing any underwear. She's like, oh, I'm going to have to wash those jeans twice.
That's funny.
Oh my God. Hysterical.
Starting with the laughs today. We got to get in early. If you don't get Carol laughing early, she's grumpy for the whole day, and we don't want
I'm
that.
always laughing. Shut your face, man.
If you're a longtime listener, you know that I'm definitely right, and Carol is a big grumper. But David is the focus of today's inquiry, and we want to know, David, what makes you a Titan?
What makes me a Titan? I think we were having this conversation beforehand, and one of the biggest things to me, it is interesting because my direct business and what I do is because of my story, because of my character, because of my life. Some people don't get that, and they have to kind of redefine that in themselves. I 100% believe that at the end of the day, inside of a business, anything specialization, it's on you as an individual, and it's your ability to get better, period. Whether that's mentally, character, consistency, whatever it may be. Any business, anything you're doing in a profession for yourself, at the end of the day, it's on you. And so for me, being over 400 pounds by the time I was 18, 19 years old, that whole game, it's always so interesting because I grew up in the medical space. My dad's a cardiologist. I was pre-med in college. I was an EMT and literally was on the fast track for an early grave. And it's just crazy how you can do it to you. You can know the science, you can know what you're doing to yourself and yet do it anyways. And inside of any industry, you can have that too. Time management, everything else. You can know what you're doing is not adequate. How you change it?
Oh, no, don't censor yourself. This is a fully fucking cussing show.
I love it. I sometimes I throw you off. See, you were anticipating it, so I'm like, oh, I'm getting that.
You're trying to throw me.
I threw you for a loop. You wanted the fuck.
Good.
I threw you
fucking luck. So, well, you mentioned some things in there that we don't do the things, right? That's biblical. That's in the Bible. Paul doesn't do the things that he knows he needs to do. And the cobbler has broken shoes, and the auto mechanic has a broke down car, and a professional podcaster uses second-rate recording equipment. That's just how it goes sometimes.
Isn't that crazy?
Isn't that crazy? But that's just like really what happened? How did you get to be 400 pounds? And don't say I ate more than I worked off. There's obviously the mechanics of it are straightforward, but like what was happening within you that you were self-medicating with terrible food?
100%. So this is always a big one to me. So people that are significantly overweight, does trauma or some type of upbringing cause that? Sure. Does every single person that's significantly overweight or have some fucked up part of their life have to have trauma? No. Reason being, I had the most sunshine and rainbows upbringing you could ask for. I mean, like literally every resource, everything you could ask for, I had. My dad, being a cardiologist, made hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I grew up in a 7,000 square foot house with an indoor basketball court and a full gym in my house.
That you didn't use at all?
That I did never. Actually, no. We did use, and I could bank it off of any wall, any shot. When we played pickup basketball, I couldn't play defense and I couldn't run. But guess what? Anywhere on that court, it was flush. I'm just putting it out there. I'm still a shooter to this day. But it's always so interesting because I like resources wise, I had everything. Relationship wise, my dad, my parents were incredible supportive people. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. She was a nurse and would always help me in any way, shape, and form I wanted. Anytime I wanted to get into a new fitness routine, dad would do whatever. If he bought me the Bowflex, he bought me the ab lounger, he did whatever he could to try to get me to build more discipline and consistency in the gym and in nutrition. The issue was the twofold of really what got me there. And this is always the funny part, that everyone thinks that some resource is what's holding them back from success in anything. But when push comes to shove, you can have it all and not use it, which was for me. My dad worked 80 to 90 hours a week. So for a piece of it, it was, I didn't have a very masculine, strong figure in my life saying, you may want this, you're not having it. Like I never had that, just from that perspective. And number two, my mom loved me to fucking death. And her definition of love, always saying yes. Like that is, and so like that's all it came down to. So like when you're 12 years old and you have basically an unlimited credit card and you got a mom who always says yes, what do you want? Food and video games.
Mm-hmm.
I want that now.
A typical kid. I mean, you're a typical kid, right?
Yeah. And then before you knew it, my mom never saw it, and dad worked a lot of hours. Before you know it, I was 300 by 15. I was 400 by 18. And what really got me to that point was just a shit ton of video games, a lot of just, I would eat a Costco sized bag of Reese's almost every single night. playing like Call of Duty
You're
or
just talking about my
whatever.
life goals now. That's like that's what you're doing.
It's not crazy. And
It's not. But you said that you didn't have trauma growing up, not like the trauma that I had, not like the trauma that
Mhm.
Carol had. But what Carol and I have is capital T, big T trauma. What
Mhm.
you had is little T trauma. It's people in your life who were helpful, but that help didn't really give you the help that you needed.
True.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and it's
And parents, we've talked about this before. Parents 100% fuck up their kids.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of what, like we're evolving as a society, right? Fucking your kids up used to be not being able to provide the basics.
Yep.
And then fucking up your kids then turned into like the dad was an alcoholic and abusive. And now we're into the area where fucking up your kids is not giving them boundaries or meeting them emotionally. And whatever the next generation
100%.
is, right? They're going to fuck up their kids because, back in my day, TikTok was 7 seconds and now it's 2 seconds or whatever the thing is going to be.
Yep. No, 100%. And it's always so crazy too, because like my dad, for example, yes, he worked crazy hours. But even at a young age, he'd put me on the countertop, and Dad, we talk about this, and I'd be like 8 or 9, 10 years old. He'd put me up on the countertop in the bathroom, and he'd say, "Look at yourself in the mirror. Tell that man you love him." And so like it is fascinating how even then, like, but again, at the same time, my dad, for example, his dad died when he was 12. And so that was a really big thing going into my late teens, early 20s, when my dad and I would get in arguments. I'd become an asshole real quick because we'd be having like whatever the argument was, and it didn't really matter. And I'll never forget one time my dad looked at me and goes, "David, my dad died when I was 12. I don't know this." And he looks at me and he goes, "All I knew is my dad was a superhero." Because I didn't know him when I was in my late teens, early 20s, where I thought he was a schmuck and like it wasn't. And so he looked at me and we were in this argument. And I remember when he said that to me, I'm like, "I'm an asshole." Got it. Like I
am a
immediately took that
horrible
in. I'm a
person.
horrible person. When Dad had the emotional stability to look at me and go, "I don't know this," and like being a doctor and a cardiologist, where we can all agree a lot of doctors,
Come on now, but let's
their
be
emotional
honest,
states
being
up
a
here.
parent- But David, being a
Yep.
parent, we don't get a book. We don't get
Mhm.
guidelines. We don't get anything. I mean, and every child is different, right? And your poor dad, I mean, I kind of feel for him because he didn't have that experience. So he didn't
Mhm.
know, how to deal with it. And so his only way was to love you as much as he could because he felt the pain of not having that.
Yep.
So, and it sucks, because they really wanted to love you the best way they could, but in reality, they enabled you to
Mhm.
become over 400 pounds, right?
100%.
Just by over loving you. It's like people are with their pets, their pets that are their children, and they clothe them and they do all kinds of stuff with them, and they baby them and they feed them treats, and then they're overweight.
Yep.
Then what do you do?
Well, then you
Right?
call him Chonker, and then you watch him waddle around the house struggling to breathe.
Do you have a pug? Is it a pug? Yeah.
No.
Oh God.
Oh,
The
okay.
pug
Because I'm
is
like
on the
pugs.
screen right now. Pug is
Good
Carol.
Lord. What?
Pug. Peas under giraffe.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Now we're going down pug lane again.
We haven't talked about it in a while. Carol peed under giraffe on her safari. It was very traumatizing. Little T trauma. And now I call her Pug.
It was an experience. Let's just put it that way.
That's funny. That's funny. But yeah, that was the big thing for me. My childhood on that standpoint. It really just came down to lack of discipline and not being able to do those types of things. And then what happened was, by the time I was 18, I was so behind the 8 ball. And you look, you're pre-diabetic, hypertensive at 17, 18 years old, and you're like, how the fuck am I gonna lose 200 pounds? Like there's no fucking way.
What were the people in your life other than your parents, your friends, significant other, they didn't hold you accountable?
No, well, so I was always well, it was interesting. It was a multifaceted there. Number one, I was the funny fat kid that everyone loved. Like that's one of the things that's always so interesting, where it tends to be a projection for a lot of overweight people. They since they struggle with their own self-worth, self-respect, they try to make everyone else around them the fun, like laugh and stuff to deal with it. And I was no different. And so I was the funny fat kid that everyone loved to be around because I would just be goofy, and people really enjoyed that. And that became my identity really quick. So for most of my friends and stuff, and I had a lot in high school, we would eat, play video games, and that's just what we did. And I was on the tennis team, which is crazy. Played doubles tennis, and I was in the golf team. I couldn't play singles, not a chance. But I was a mean doubles player because I had really good hand-eye coordination. And that's actually later in life, after I'd lost 200 pounds, I went through this resentment phase where I looked at myself and I was like, David, you're an athlete. I'm 6'1", 225 right now, and just like an absolute beast of a man. And I'm very athletic. I can almost dunk the ball. And it's like playing basketball. And it's like, what if you would have kept this in high school? And I went through this whole thing where my life could have been if I didn't do this, which obviously doesn't benefit you at all.
Yeah. The woulda, coulda, shouldas, right?
It can get you. But like I wasn't even an athlete in high school, playing doubles, I was in the golf team, and so on and so forth. And so friends and stuff around, no one really everyone just kind of accepted David was the fat guy. And no one really talked about it. I had one friend, Phil. I didn't drink regular pop, even at 400 pounds. I was a huge diet pop drinker. And when I say I was into Diet Coke, I had an obsession with Diet Coke to the point where for my dad grew up south side of Chicago, very poor upbringing. And then obviously became a doctor and was on the other echelon. But for him, budget. That's always been something that has been ingrained in me, of like, know a budget, have a budget, live within your means, all this kind of stuff. And I remember showing Dad the numbers. I'm like, Dad, this is how many diet sodas we drink as a family in our household. And there's a Costco and so on and so forth. If we got a diet fountain drink machine in our house, it's going to cost us this amount of money.
No way.
But over 6 months to a year, we're going to save money because of this. And Dad was this close to getting us a fountain Diet Coke machine in our house because I showed him how it was going to save us money. But I had one friend, Phil, who was so sickened by how much diet soda I drank. I'd be like playing video games, just going at it, and he'd be waiting, and I'd be like, "Yo, can you give me a Diet Coke from the kitchen?" He's like, "No, I'm not getting you another one. Like, if you want to get a Diet Coke, get your ass up, go to the kitchen, get your own, because I'm done giving you Diet Cokes."
Expend like 1 or 2 calories and get your ass in there.
Yeah. So yeah, I had a couple friends that would kind of, but not really. It was just because, again, even in high school, I was not something you really did. You just kind of like, your friends were your friends. No one really gave a shit.
Well, I mean, I would assume that you would do like a fat guy sport like cornhole or bowling or something.
Well, I was also on the bowling team. That's the last one.
There we go. Yeah.
So and I'm actually the
classic drink beer, eat nachos, and also roll a 300.
Roll a 300. And it's about the coolest thing in the world. I'm a high school varsity bowling coach, just so you guys know. And that's a weird thing about me. That's kind of sweet, isn't it? It's like the coolest thing in the world. But yeah, so I was a big bowler in high school, and then took some time off, and then got into coaching high school bowling now. So, and
now you're a medium-sized bowler.
Pretty jacked. Let's be honest here. For the average, what a bowler looks like, I look pretty jacked compared to everybody else.
This is so my wife and her whole family were from northern Minnesota originally, and her whole family is a family of bowlers. In fact, my wife is a state champ growing up, and she actually won bowling scholarships. And then when I joined the family, of course, I got into bowling because that's the only thing that they did that I could stomach. Let's be honest. Like the things they did as a family, you gonna do this? I'm like, nah, can't do that. You gonna do that? Nope, not doing that. I guess I could join bowling, right? And ended up winning a league, which, if you know anything about bowling, is not that big of a deal. I ended up being a president of the league, which is also not that big of a deal. And then we ended up going to bowling nationals a handful of times, which,
You bowled at nationals?
if you know anything about bowling, is also not that big of a deal because anyone can pay the fee and go to bowling nationals. But my brother-in-laws, I got two brother-in-laws that have rolled 300s, and actually my one brother-in-law, Tone, they're both sponsored by Storm and this and that, and he rolled a dozen or more 300s this year, including one at nationals, which is ridiculous.
No, that's big girl shit right there. That's
258 or 259. Which is not a bad game.
258, 259 is not bad.
Not bad
It's
at
not-
all. Carol's
Yeah,
I've never bowled above 60.
What's your high game?
Talking
Carol.
to you, Carol.
Oh, you're talking to me? I
Yeah.
don't
What's your
bowl.
high game? Come
I
on.
don't bowl.
You've never bowled ever.
I've never bowled ever.
Not once?
No.
All right. We're going to have to change that. Got it.
We're gonna have a Titan Evolution podcast meetup with some community we create, and we're gonna force Carol to go bowling. It's gonna be great.
Yep. No bumpers either. No bumpers.
Okay, I don't know what that means.
If you're not watching the video, Carol looks super sad right now.
That's funny. That's funny.
She has no idea in the slightest what we're talking about, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I'll bowl if you'll all jump on a motorcycle. Go around the track with
Rode
me.
for 10 years.
See, that's funny. My dad, he had a Honda, like 1,000, some basic, just like Honda. My mom finally was like, nope, you got it. So when I was like 8 or 10, she made him get rid of it. And yeah, so we have been on a motorcycle together since I was like 6.
Aw.
And now it just look weird.
And now it's just
Wait.
weird.
Oh
There's
yeah,
some two grown men on a
David
motorcycle,
riding
it's hilarious.
bitch would look weird.
Yeah.
Seriously, look weird.
Yeah.
What's even more weird is his dad's going to be riding and he's going to put David on the tank like he's a toddler.
No.
No, actually, that is the ongoing joke in my family. My mom's 5'7", 5'6". My dad's like 5'8". My brother's like 5'7", 5'8", and I'm 6'1". I think I'm adopted.
No, I'll tell you something. I'm 5'4", and my brother is 6'3". Explain that.
Mom.
Yeah, well, he looks like everybody, so
That's funny.
So David, like at what stage did you, and I guess age, did you decide to make a change, and actually what caused you to make the change?
100%. So for me, I always kind of convey it like this. Number one, you make massive change out of one of two places: inspiration or desperation. Where, like, obviously in the medical space, you can say it where you get diagnosed with diabetes, cancer, heart disease, and you're like, holy shit, I got to change my fucking life. That's one. Inspiration. You get connected with someone that inspires you, that like, wow, this gives you a whole different perspective on life. I can do that. So on and so forth. For me, desperation never did it. I was always feeling desperate. Like, that's where the depression and suicidal thoughts when I was in late high school, early college came into play, where like I was so desperate. I literally thought that ending my life was the only way out. Like, I get it. Like, I get what that feels like.
But you had a ton of friends though, right? So what was the desperation from?
So that's always a fascinating part, because at the end of the day, your emotional state and everything, like, this is where I've gotten really into with neurolinguistic programming and how the brain works. And at the end of the day, you can create your own reality, no matter how prosperous or how awful it is. And that's a hard thing for people to wrap their head around, because how does someone growing up in a 7,000 square foot house with great parents, with great everything? I had more friends than anyone could ask for. I had all the financial resources, everything you could ask for, other than my weight, was fantastic in my life. And yet, when I was 18 years old, I almost ended my life twice. And most importantly,
does not equal happiness.
True. That's very true. And not understanding perspective in your life and what you value. Because like for me, 18 years old, I was surrounded by all these great things, but all I kept saying in my head was, why am I not good enough? Why am I such a loser? Why am I so fat? Well, I will never get past this. This is like, I hate this. I hate my body. I hate me. And you get caught in this loop. And on the outside, all my friends, all my family, no one knew how depressed I was. I promise you, no one knew. And it wasn't until I published it in my book, in my first manuscript, where I had my dad read it, and he broke down in tears. And because I explained the 2 moments in particular where I was in my custom marble shower with a pair of scissors, thinking of like trying to get the courage to end it, because I just was 400-pound me, and I just hated it. I never acted upon it, but I was right there. And I wrote about that in my book, and I had Dad read it, and he looked at me and was like, I failed you as a father, and I'm so sorry. And I'm like, Dad, like there's no way you could have known. Like there's like no one knew. Like, so it's not like, you may want to take this on as yourself, but it's like none of my friends knew, none of my family knew, no one knew how depressed I really was. And so it is fascinating how you can create this just chasm of fear, anxiety, frustration, whatever it may be, even if you're surrounded with such incredible things. And that's where I'm blessed I went through it. I'm grateful I went through it, because now I understand where value of emotions come from, and like what does, like, getting into the depth of gratefulness and looking at the values in your life and what do you value most, and hoping and holding that to yourself. That's where it's like, now I can have those conversations and say, hey, you think it's more money that's gonna make you happy? No. You think it's more friends that's gonna make you happy? Nope. You think it's gonna be more status? Absolutely not. Like, why? Because I literally had it all. Yeah.
If
What was that?
more is the answer to whatever the thing is, it can't possibly
It can't be it.
get you where you want to go. You mentioned a couple things in there that I really wanted to point out and highlight, is that you had to choose to make your life better.
100%.
You had to, or you created a scenario where no one knew how you were really feeling. And you see this all the time, especially like me being in the veteran space. People talk about PTSD and suicide a lot. I feel like it's too much. They feel like it's not enough. The conversations keep happening. And one of the questions is, when it hits the public sphere, when a celebrity kills themselves,
Yep.
and people are like, how on earth? They always seemed so happy. And one of the reasons that this show was started is because we want to actually get to know David. We want to actually get to know our guests when they go on and they interview, or they, film their next movie, or they're doing their stand-up routine and everyone's getting the laughs. It's fantastic up until the moment that the laughs stop. You mentioned being a stay-at-home comedian, and I've done the same thing and used humor to mask all of the terrible things in my life. It's really easy. I'm really great at deflecting. Topic comes up I don't want to talk about, I can redirect, crack a joke, move on, and they forget they ever asked the question.
100%.
Yeah,
Yep.
you keep yourself safe, protected, or you feel like you've kept yourself safe and protected, but the reality is that's not true. That's not a true story. That's a deflection, no different than escaping into video games, no different than escaping into food, no different than escaping into comedy, no different than escaping into motorcycles.
Whatever the escape or EDC, as my the youth of me, of my, like these concert, these like week-long concerts, like electric, like EDC in Vegas, or all these different ones now. Those things are crazy. Like just escapism in general, whatever that is. If you have to escape from your life consistently, you need to start questioning, is this the life that I want? And like,
well, you have to evaluate
right?
your life.
Escapism, like, do I have enough beer for the weekend? You're just escaping into the bottle. Or, hey, I've got to go to another conference. Weren't you just at 3 conferences this month? Yeah, but I got to go to another one. You're avoiding, you're escaping all these things. And I know that I have done these things in the past, and I could still continue to do some of these, right? While I'm podcasting here, while I'm on camera, I'm not doing anything else in my life. I can come on here, say whatever I want, do whatever I want, be whoever I want. for the camera, and no one knows any different because that's the only thing that the vast majority of people see.
That's huge with me with the weight loss space and like social media, Instagram, TikTok, all this kind of stuff is really big for me. I've 100,000 plus on TikTok, got like 40 some thousand on Instagram. And I've become friends with a lot of the top weight loss pages in the last, because I've been down 200 pounds for 9 years. So like, this isn't my first rodeo.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of these people, they put this facade on social media in particular. Like they have it all together. And I know
They
them
don't.
and they don't,
They don't.
it's a tough one because I have a lot of friends even right now that are early on in their like transformation, and some people get cascaded with a bunch of followers, some people don't. That's why I hammer this so fucking much. If you are using social media as a tool to hold you accountable, cool. If you're using social media as a tool to inspire others and like just kind of hold your agreements, cool. If you're using social media to put value in whatever you're doing based upon followers, likes, and shares, you're fucked. Because I can tell you 24 people that have more incredible transformations than the most blown out 100,000 million person account transformations, and they just didn't get the validation, but everything about their life is better than the million person account that shows this facade that I've lost 200. Look how great. And behind closed doors, they fucking hate their body. They hate themselves. They binge eat, they purge, they do all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, stop it. Like, and so it's a game, because social media in particular, it can really put that escapism facade on that. Like, I have it all together. And when push comes to shove, that's not how. And again, if you're not true on the inside as you are on the outside, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. So I do want to get back to about what age you decided to do that transformation and what catapulted that transformation. Yeah.
So for me, I was 22. I was in my final year at college. I went to Central Michigan University, and I was pre-med. So I have a degree in biomedical science. And I just decided that med school wasn't for me. This is where it kind of started. Decided that med school wasn't for me. I didn't like where medicine was going. I didn't like how it was just being controlled by a very small group of people. And it was less about professional like yourself and more about big systems, and you're just a cog in the wheel. I didn't like that. And so I was like, okay, what the fuck do I want to do? So I was in this big transformational phase. And I also at the same time made a deal with my dad that if I didn't lose a significant amount of weight by the graduation of college, I'd get weight loss surgery. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to have weight loss surgery for just a caveat of reasons. And so at that time, I was in this just transformational stage. I got connected with some awesome people. And actually the biggest catalyst was I started up in a network marketing company called Vima, if you happen to know it. Did you happen to know Verve, the energy drink? It was a healthy energy drink back from so Verve, the parent company was Vima. It was a network marketing company. They had a huge youthful like momentum of the company, called the YPR, the Young People's Revolution. And the reason why it helped transform my life was not the products, but the people within it. Luke, Jamie, these people still to this day, they're in their late 20s, early 30s with me. It was a huge mindset shift of a community of personal development, reading books, and like getting your shit together, holding yourself to accountable to your actions. And at 22, being with these guys, Luke, a good friend of mine who was just at my house last night, he was at 19 years old making $250,000 in this network marketing company. And we were just huge in reading books. And so like our first book I read was The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And that book profoundly changed my perspective of where I was with my body, because like so many things, when you're 200 pounds overweight, the biggest thing that holds most people like hostage is the idea of losing 200 pounds. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, it just seems so astronomically impossible. It's like, there's no fucking way I'm losing 200 pounds. Just like how there's no fucking way I'm starting a company. Like there's so many moving parts. There's so many things you got to do. There's so much like I can't do it. And so that foundation holds you captive. And at the end of the day, Atomic Habits, or in this perspective, which was The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, it just simplifies things. Like, guess what? It sounds like craziness, but it sounds like witchcraft. If you lose 2 pounds a week for 100 weeks, you drop 200 pounds.
It
And
literally
I was
is
like,
baby steps, isn't it?
I can do that. And so
Yeah.
at 410 pounds, I was at my final year of college. I was like, all right, next Sunday, I'm 408. Boom, I hit it. I was like, sweet. All right, next Sunday, be 406. Boom, I hit it. Sweet. Next Sunday, be 404. Boom, I hit it. Sweet. And I hyper fixated on losing 2 pounds a week, my first 50 pounds. And I remember stepping on the scale, 50 pounds down, looking back, going, and I was actually in my apartment in college. And I remember just crying in the mirror, looking at myself, going, David, you're changing everything about your fucking life you don't like. And a year and a half later, I dropped 200. It was about just over 2 years to drop 200 pounds. And then at that same time, because of that momentum, I really fell in love with the mindset shift of change. So I fell in love with neurolinguistic programming, Tony Robbins, really figuring out how the brain works and how to like adapt it through habits. And yeah, that was like the big beginning catalyst. But the biggest shift was just simplify. And just hyper fixating on 2 pounds a week was like the biggest start that started to drive momentum into everything else. So yeah.
When you sit there and you think about, God, I got to lose 200 pounds, it just seems unfathomable that you could do that. But if you really, take the tiny baby steps, the first step is the hardest. It's accepting I'm going to do this, and I'm going to, make this work for me. Once you take that first step and you change your perspective, you can do anything. And that's what people don't realize is those, starting a company. I mean, when you think about the logistics of it all, you're actually paralyzed in fear in taking that first step. But once you take the first step, it's all literally a learning process. And as you learn, you gain more skills and tools for yourself. And pretty soon they become, second nature. You just understand it. So if people cannot be paralyzed in fear and just go, you know what, that's my goal, I'm going to go for it. Take that first step, because that is the hardest. Once you do it, you're never going to look back.
100%. And the big thing to me, I hammer this so much with my clients on social media, especially when it comes to weight loss. And it holds true with every single sphere, whether it's becoming a professional athlete, becoming starting a company, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you don't acknowledge the progress you're making and celebrating the progress you've made thus far, it sucks the fucking life out of you. And that's why, like the 200 pound thing, you lose, okay, like I'm 400 pounds, I need to lose 200. I've only lost 35. How many times have you heard that? Like, well, I got to lose 50. I've only lost 10. Sucks you're setting new standards. You're doing all these frustrating things. You're working out. You got stress muscles. You're choosing food decisions that you don't necessarily like, but are better than what you used to do. And you're making progress, and you're going to shit on yourself and say it's not good enough. Good luck maintaining that.
What happens? Everybody becomes self-sabotaging, right? It's the little inner chatter in your head that keeps you from accomplishing your goals. If you can shut that little fucker up, then you can do anything.
Exactly.
The little fucker's got a name.
Like snaking. Like there's just nothing that sucks the life. Wait, what was that?
The little fucker's got a name. Do you know what it is?
No. What is that name?
It is the thing that is trying to protect you. It's your ego.
Oh, 100%.
The ego tries to protect us by keeping us safe, and anywhere away from homeostasis, your normal operating rhythm, feels like it's a scary thing. And as soon as you have just a little bit of doubt, just a little sprinkling of doubt, like if you were making a recipe for a bullshit sandwich, you sprinkle a little bit of doubt in there, you take a big old bite out of that, and you're like, oh, I can't do this anymore. Obviously, my body's uncomfortable. Things are changing. It's too much. I've got to go back to where I was, because that was safe. I know what that's like. I can do that. And let's go back there. And pretty soon,
at least I'm alive.
Pretty soon you've talked yourself into like, yep, you know what? That's right. You know, we know that there's a little office lady with a filing cabinet in our head deciding all the things that we're doing before that we do them. That's a whole other discussion. But
Yep, it
your
sure
ego
is.
is fighting day in and day out to keep you in this perceived safety of familiarity and comfort. And neither one.
And that's why I'm also a huge advocate when it comes to like this change personally, especially when it comes to nutrition. Like obviously there's different and nutrition, fitness, and fat loss. Finding process, like getting your ego out of it, of like the fact of you have to do CrossFit or whatever you think you have to do. Like at the end of the day, finding habits that move the needle that you enjoy is going to be way more beneficial than what's optimal or the best if you fucking hate it.
Right.
Like
because you're not going to want to do it at all.
You're not going to do it for 30 years.
Program.
You're not going to do it for 30 years. Like that's always a big thing to me, especially in the weight loss space. But it holds true to so many things. Even look at business, like there's so many tools and tactics and processes you can take to get you from point A to point B. There's not one. Like there's very rarely one thing you have to do. And getting that idea out, like you have to do it this way. This is the thing you have to do. Because like finding processes you enjoy, like you may not be euphorically happy about it, but like this idea, like fundamentally to me, this idea, like I respect David Goggins. Like, don't get me wrong, but this idea that every day has to fucking suck. Like, no, like, come on. Like you can like, I understand every day you should do something that's discomforting because it catalysts, like it gets you like more grit,
well, it
more
opens
consistency.
Up processes for you to, right. But at the end of the day, if you hate it, are you going to continue doing it? Of course not. You got to find things that you enjoy, and what works for one person isn't necessarily going to work for another. And we use like motorcycles, right? So I'm, just 100 and something pounds. Nobody don't want to talk about it. And then me on a motorcycle
half
with a
your
guy
weight is
that's
hair, let's be honest.
that's like let's just say for instance, you, right? 6'1" at 215 pounds, right? And we're riding the same exact motorcycle. Are we going to enter a turn the same? Are we going to brake the same? No, because our weight and the way we position ourselves on the bike and the way you can anchor yourself versus the way I could anchor myself is completely different. So I have to be able to ride for me and you have to ride for you, right? So we have to pick things that work for us. And that's what people don't realize. Because it worked for somebody else, we don't have to follow the same path as somebody else, because more than likely it's not going to give us the same results.
And as long as, like, my whole thing is like fundamentals, like there's fundamentals in momentum and inertia, and you gotta take these things into consideration. But it's like, this is the way you have to do it. If your knee doesn't go 3 inches from touching the ground, it's just not a good turn. It's like, what the why?
But by the way, if you have injuries and you can't put the knee down, it doesn't make you less effective of a rider. You just ride differently because of your injury.
Use a different tactic.
Exactly.
In any race, there's at least 3 different strategies or tactics that you're employing. If you're sprinting, right? If you ever talk to a sprinting coach, there's a way and a position to get off the blocks. There's the early momentum build. There's the mid race. There's the final push, and there's the lean in at the finish. It's at least 5 different strategies within 100-yard dash that takes 10 seconds or 100 meters, whatever I don't know. I'm not an Olympian, obviously, unless they get bullshitting in the Olympics, and that'll be at least a silver medalist. Let's be honest. But in that one race that takes 10 seconds, there's all these different strategies that are employed. How can we possibly think that, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to wake up, and every time I feel like eating something nasty, I'm just going to slap myself in the face. That might be a great early tactic to get your mind right. But if you're still doing that 3 years from now, you're
not going to have any friends, because your friends are going to think you're weird and not want to hang out with you, especially when it comes to eating.
So, all right, fun story there. This is always a fun one. When I started learning the neurolinguistic programming, like reassociating things in our head, How we all have these just stupid associations that mean nothing. Of all men are bad. All men, there are assholes. Don't get me wrong. All men are bad. All women are awful. They're cheaters. Like all of them. Like we all do. Diets suck. It's like, how are you doing your diet? Like what consists? We do these associations all the time and breaking that down. And like, why don't you like a grilled chicken salad? Is it because you don't like the taste of it, or because you think that eating a grilled chicken salad is inherently a diet meal? And I don't like diets, whatever the fuck it is. So for me, I was learning this whole process. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna start finding ways to enjoy, because grilled chicken salads are delicious. You choose a nice like honey mustard, so all the good vegetables, and a nice pile of grilled chicken. It's delicious.
Look at Travis's
You lost me
face.
at honey mustard. That's not a real thing. It's garbage invented by the Illuminati to make you feel like terrible. I don't know. I can't do it. I can't do honey mustard. It's either honey.
You don't like
or
honey
spicy.
mustard?
It's not
I love
both.
honey mustard.
Fuck honey mustard.
Balsamic vinaigrette is also delicious.
Oh yeah, there we go.
I
Yeah,
love
we
that.
can do that.
But
I
this
love
idea, so like trying to associate that. So I'm at the cafeteria in college, and I have this big old grilled chicken salad in front of me, and I'm eating it while buddies around me are eating pizza and burgers or whatever the fuck they're eating. And I shit you not, for a couple weeks straight, I stood up at the table with all my buddies around me, and I go, David, good job. High five myself, sat down, started eating. And they look at me like, the fuck was that? I'm like, I'm just happy that I'm eating a better choice meal right now. Like, you do you. I'm just doing me. And I did that for a few weeks straight. And then it's just the idea of like celebrating the good decisions and like don't disacknowledge them and celebrate them. And so I don't do it to this day, but it was an early thing I did to kind of like get me to actively want to eat better choiced foods, instead of like every time something is perceived to be healthy, you're just like, oh, I got to eat this slop again. It's like, what? Like, grilled chicken salads are delicious. Come on. You don't have to eat grilled chicken salad. Mind you, you can eat a lot of fucking different foods, but the salad world is funny to me. How like everyone perceives salads, and number one, as being healthy.
I love salads, number one.
But it's not always healthy too, which is always funny to me.
Well, that too. I mean, if you douse it completely in salad dressing, it's got probably the same caloric value as, a hamburger. So
I always love that. I've witnessed that. I'm like, so what do you? I'll have a client go like, what do you? I eat grilled chicken. I eat salads every meal. And I'm like, show me your salad. And she shows me how much dressing she put on it. It was ranch. It was butternut, like butter, whatever ranch. Yeah. And I'm like, just so you know, that amount of ranch on that salad, you could eat a cheeseburger.
And you'd be better off.
You'd be better off.
Yeah,
and
I know.
She's like,
it's
what?
funny.
But it's a salad. It's a salad.
just for context here, I love doing research during interviews. Panera's Southwest chili lime ranch salad with chicken, 650 calories. Applebee's Oriental chicken salad, 1,420 calories.
Holy shit.
Wendy's spicy chicken Caesar, 720. Taco Bell's Fiesta tacos, 760. So salad does not equal healthy. Gluten-free does not equal healthy. Vegan does not equal healthy.
Say that.
Vegetarian does not equal healthy. You know what's vegetarian? Cheetos. Okay, you know what else is gluten-free? Also
so
Cheetos. So let's not pretend that one label means it's good.
Yeah.
Hey, if it says doctor recommended on the label, if on this bag it says doctor recommended, it's healthy.
Okay, so tell me where Dr. Pepper fits in.
That was really good.
We're the only country, as far as I know, that has the Food and Drug Administration under one banner. What the fuck is that all about? Let's be honest.
Oh, that's funny. That's always a fun one, because like I love to have this when it comes to nutrition stuff. I sit down the middle of it all. I got friends on the crazy holistic side of the world that it's like if it has GMOs in it, it's inherently bad. If it has preservatives in it, it's inherently bad. And it's like, I understand some of your argument there, but you better have some data to justify. Flip side of the coin. Oh, hello. There's people out here that think, oh yeah, I can just eat Cheetos in a calorie deficit, and that's it's fine. And it's like, stop it. Like the two extremes.
Full of preservatives, though. I mean, you're
losing weight is not the same as being healthy.
Exactly. And
Right.
trying to find that healthy. But then there's people out there, it's like, sugar's bad. It's like, yeah, don't eat. I had like 6 slices of pie for Thanksgiving, but I'm not eating 6 slices of pie every fucking day.
Exactly.
And like, is that a big deal? No, just don't do it all the fucking time.
Yep. And plus, it comes down to moderation too. I mean,
you try hard and believe in yourself.
What's that?
Any pizza is a personal pizza if you try hard and believe in yourself.
Damn straight.
David knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, hell yeah, I do. Still to this day. That's actually one of the petty reasons why I didn't want to have weight loss surgery.
My number one problem whenever trying to lose weight is free pizza. Not pizza. If it's free, it like does something to my brain where it brings up where I was poor and that pizza is my favorite food, and I can't have my favorite food go to waste, especially if it's free. Completely derail.
So what you're saying is you go to Planet Fitness.
Hold on. Where in the world did we go into free pizza?
You don't have to know about it, Carol. It happened.
It happened.
Okay.
You find ways. When you want to talk about free pizza, you'll find a fucking way to talk about free pizza.
Where in the world are you going that you're getting free pizza?
Planet Fitness.
Follow me for more tips. I'm just saying.
Planet Fitness?
Well, actually, since COVID, they stopped, but that was one of the pulling points for Planet Fitness is they gave free pizza once a month on Sundays.
Are you joking? At a fitness place? Are you serious?
I fucking love it. Planet Fitness, everyone fucking hates it. I love Planet Fitness. I'm trying to directly get sponsored by them. I'm trying so fucking hard. Because it's just it's Planet Fitness to me. Again, some people hate it because their marketing scheme is mischievous. Because it's $10 to $20 a month, and it's dirt cheap. And it's direct deposit only, so there's no credit cards, no debit cards, so you don't have to worry about cards expiring. But they hook you on like being the average person. Hey, we eat pizza too, we get bagels too, like just come in and work out, which I respect because movement's still so important. But it is so funny. Some people hate on Planet Fitness because they have pizza. How can you as a fitness brand give free pizza to your guests? I'm like, it's once a month. If they did it every day, okay, we could have a conversation. It's once a fucking month. Chill your tits.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the story about the guy that was big into fitness and trying to get people to get more healthy, and then he couldn't make it happen, so then he opened the Heart Attack Grill?
Yes, Heart Attack Grill. Yep.
No, never heard.
You don't know what the Heart Attack Grill is?
No.
It's a restaurant.
The cheaper the food is.
Yeah. If you're over 500 pounds, everything's free.
You are shitting me.
They have a burger called the gastric bypass, and it's like 9 patties. It probably is like 8,000 calories.
We'll have the single, the double, the triple, the quadruple bypass, the octuple bypass. Oh yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah, that's called gluttony.
That's not a virtue, is it?
No. Yeah. It's a great marketing campaign, though.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's always a fun marketing. Marketing and nutrition and stuff like this is always so interesting to me because this goes so important and being like a titan to me. This kind of goes on a tangent, but like I can't in my right mind support, sponsor, do anything that I know is bullshit. I can't do it. Yeah. And in the nutrition space in particular, in the fitness space, it's full of fucking charlatans.
Yep.
Full of bullshit. Like
Shock and awe.
What's crazy is you put on a face that you think that it's not true. The amount of people that think certain things are true. Like, for example, like, do you guys know who Liver King is?
No.
So Liver King came about through TikTok. He's got like 1.5 million followers. He's all about the animal-based carnivore diet. And it's like eat liver, eat beef, eat raw fucking pig's testicles, all types of random shit. Vegetables are for pussies. That's basically his motto. And he's jacked as fuck. He's like He's I don't know how tall he is, but I think he's on the shorter end. I think he's probably like 5'9", 240 and literally 8% body fat. Just fucking monster. And he says he's natural. There's no fucking way. Like, you cannot be that big, that lean naturally. Like, it just doesn't happen. And so he keeps saying he's natural. He makes $1 million a month off of his supplements. And people eat this. So his marketing is fucking great. All this kind of stuff. Hey, that's fine. I can't do it. Like, there's no piece of me that like can, for example, fat burners.
David, integrity.
Yeah, I can't do it. Like,
right.
I tell my community all the time, if I ever sponsor a fat burner, everyone has the right to kick me in the dick. They're garbage. They're bullshit.
Right.
And but it's just crazy how much integrity in the nutrition fitness space is just bullshit.
When it comes to money, though, David, I mean, that's kind of like the trump card, right?
Yep.
Everybody says that, and then when, you know, like this guy, whoever you're talking about, ends up in a position where he can market his bullshit products because you know it brings in a substantial income, then he'll do it. It's almost like, oh, it's not that bad, like that's not going to hurt anybody. And it's bullshit, because what you do is you're raising these people's hopes.
Yep, you're setting unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
And I'm not even against steroids. Like, if you want to take testosterone and tren,
don't lie.
Just don't lie. Just don't fucking lie.
This is all natural, right?
That's my issue. It's like, hey, if you want to take anything, any supplement in the world, do you just be fucking honest? Like, just be honest.
Yeah. Well, integrity, I think, is one of the virtues that there's not a lot of people that have it, you know?
Yeah, integrity and alignment are huge in everything that I do, especially when it comes to something that's like public facing. The whole reason I wrote a book about podcasting, then when I wrote it, is because I bought one that I thought was just garbage. And I can't believe that they allowed that to go out with their name on it.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a pitch about me or my podcasting stuff, but I was like, I couldn't believe that that's okay for them. Because
it blows my mind.
It'd never be close to okay for me.
It's like doctors that promote vegan and or carnivore diets, like anything in the extremes. Yeah. There's just, if we can say anything on the science side of things, the data is it's somewhere in the fucking middle. Right. Like, going vegan for the sake of your health, unnecessary. Going carnivore and only eating meat for the sake of your health, unnecessary. The reality is, if you want to be data driven, it's somewhere in the fucking middle. Now, where is that line? I don't know. But if you're a doctor and you're supposed to use peer-reviewed literature and data to justify your decision making, and you promote either of the two extremes, you're not doing it.
No.
Like, there's no integrity in that.
Well, there's a difference between a scientist and a doctor, right? A scientist is all data driven, and a doctor is still practicing.
Yep. That's funny.
And I say that I do have a problem with a lot of the medical field. And the biggest part that I have is if something's outside their expertise, they don't want to say, and I know there's some that will say, but they don't want to say that they're not fully briefed and familiar with it. My wife was 40 before we finally found all the doctors and everything was in alignment for her to have brain surgery. And if her doctor, when they found it 5 years ago, would say, hey, this is a thing, it's here, this is not my specialty, I have someone I can recommend to you, right? If he would have said that, we could have got this fixed 5 years ago. Now, anyone before that we saw, they didn't have a fucking clue, but they also didn't say that. Just fucking say it. Hey,
just be honest.
Here's the thing. The body's infinitely complex. There's hundreds of thousands of all these different things, and we don't know everything. I got a guy that I know that has studied the shit out of this one thing for 30 years. And he's probably going to know, because I don't know that answer. Based on the medical things that I've read, it says it's not a big deal. But if we look at Google, you have every symptom listed. But what the medical community is saying, based on my knowledge, is it doesn't add up. It has to be this long in order to create those things. But you somehow have those things without meeting this criteria. Talk to this fucking guy over here. That's all you got to say. But people are
the
so
medical community
to say that is outside of their expertise. And I've had clients come talk to me. not getting into business stuff, and they'll ask me a question, be like, you know what? Let me talk to a friend of mine. And they'll look at me funny. I was like, are you looking at me funny because I admitted where I had not expertise? Or do you feel like because I admitted that I'm not as good as I say that I am? And they were like, I have no idea. It was definitely one or both of those. I was like, isn't it weird that you would assume that I'm not a good practitioner at whatever because I said I didn't know something? What does it say about how we're conditioned as people?
Yeah.
That's fucking bullshit. Because ain't nobody a pro at every fucking thing.
100%.
Ain't nobody a pro at everything. Get the fuck out of here.
The only thing with the medical world is it's terrifying to think there are bad lawyers. You're like, okay, whatever. There are bad engineers. Okay, whatever. Bad doctors. You're like, so someone died from this jabroni. You're like, fuck.
Right.
It's a scary being in my position. It's actually super interesting because I do battle both sides. Traditional medicine, looking at peer-reviewed literature, looking at the science versus more holistic Western medicine, Eastern medicine, and how they kind of align. And I push back on both because like it is crazy how you get to these places where, for example, we talk about corruption. It's like, isn't it interesting that all the money to be funded into peer-reviewed literature goes to pharmaceuticals? Mm-hmm. So how can you find proven data in a large-scale human trial when all the money is going to pharmaceuticals? If you can't prove it through non-pharmaceutical intervention, you can't support it. And so it's a catch-22. So if you don't put money there, you can't prove it, which if you can't prove it, then you don't. So you can understand there's an argument, but then there's people that go, the pharmaceutical industry is a bunch of profiteering assholes. They don't give a shit about people. It's like, they've done some pretty awesome things. They've done some fucked up things too.
That leads into a whole other discussion that I'm going to say what it is, and then we're not going to go there. That goes back to race relations in the U.S. and people tearing down monuments.
100%.
Like, this person was so terrible. He did this. Yeah, that act is fucking terrible. No one's arguing. But this is also all the amazing shit that he did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or talking about Michael Jackson. Do a lot of people think he's a terrible human being? They do. Did he put out some amazing music? He did. It turns out you have to be kind of fucked up to do anything worthwhile.
I love it. It's always so funny. You put people on pedestals. I think I love the humanization of quote unquote idols. Like I always think in my head, like, all right, Elon Musk, his inner circle, what annoys the piss out of them that Elon does? Is it like, did Elon really fucking miss his flight again? What the fuck, Elon? Or was it like, Elon, why do you not sleep? You sound like, I don't know what it is for Elon, but everyone has something whole like, and so behind closed doors, every idol has a inner circle that supports all the things this person's weak at, but is never explained. And it's like, you can use it from an Elon and business perspective, or like, for example, I always say the MLK one. Martin Luther King Jr. was an incredible standing point towards race relations in the Black community. Huge misogynist. He believed women should be in the kitchen. They shouldn't be doing careers. Like, so again, but he did incredible things in this space, but it's also okay to say, you know what? He wasn't perfect. No one is, but at least acknowledge it.
You can't say that. If we say they're not perfect, then they're not the Messiah. Of whatever their thing is. Like Elon's the Messiah of Mars.
You hate everything about them because you say you don't like this piece of them. That means you hate all of them. It's either all or none. I think that's a whole tangent in myself.
It doesn't diminish the good things they do.
Yep.
You got to be able to compartmentalize those things. Just because they do one thing bad doesn't mean that they're evil people. I just don't get people that it's all or nothing. Is pick a team. Everybody
Tribalism.
did the whole pick the team.
But that's what people say in business, right? How you do one thing is how you do all things, and that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
No.
We like to think it's true. It's a great little saying, but it's not. I'm an all or none kind of guy when it comes to pizza. Like I'm eating that whole fucking thing, or I'm not having any.
And we're back.
We're back on pizza. The tribalism.
Pizza. Just when
that's a whole thing in and of
away
itself.
From pizza, we bring it on back.
I respect it.
Welcome.
So, but dead ass. What's your favorite pizza?
You know what? So this is actually a thing. I have been to New York and had slices at 2 a.m. in the Village. I've been to Chicago and had things like Gino's East at the Mecca. In
Giordano's.
Chicago's people are like, no, it's one or the other, right? I've been into Connecticut and had I've been to Detroit and had Detroit style pizza. I've had California style. I've been all over. I've been to every state. I've had pizza in other countries.
Tell me you're
My
going to say like
favorite
Domino's.
pizza is in Oklahoma City at
Oh.
Hideaway. The
way.
crust is soft, buttery, and flaky. The sauce is flavorful and robust. The toppings are fucking fabulous, and I've never had a bad pizza at Hideaway. But man, Gino's East, sometimes I'm like, you know what? I can't do it. I never understood New York style pizza. You cooked it, but then you cooked it again. Somehow we're supposed to enjoy it. I don't get it. I do like
I love Jets. I love Jets.
Yeah. I do like the fork, but if I had like anything I wanted and I could pick one, it would, no kidding, be Hideaway in Oklahoma City, be a Sicilian on hand tossed with blue cheese crumbles.
And do you dip in ranch?
No, I'm not a ranch guy. I didn't know people. I'm in the South now. I'm in Oklahoma City.
I used to dip my pizza in ranch.
Everyone dips every fucking thing in ranch. You go to a salad place, you go to anywhere, and they're like, "Oh, well," I'm like, "What is this?" I'm thinking like, "Oh, that's ranch," because you're in the South.
Literally everything. Oh my gosh!
Did not know that. Had no idea.
Ranch on pizza is the greatest.
Ugh.
And Hawaiian.
So
pineapple.
You're up north. Have you been bowling in the South?
No, I don't think I have.
Do you have good food at bowling alleys in the North?
No, shit.
Because where I come from, the bowling alley food is like the best food in town.
Really? Yeah, for us, it's just deep fried whatever.
You make
and
Phillies, you make like hand spun pizza. You're getting malt, like you're getting like a varied menu. And in the South, it's all like fried food and nastiness.
Yeah, at least for us, it's all just kind of like they just throw it together. Their pizzas are greasy and shit. They're whatever. It's all just bleh.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that we
made back pizza twice now. Are we gonna get the turkey for pizza?
And say that if anyone is struggling out there, what kind of advice would you have for them, David?
Struggling in the context of weight, struggling in the context of
anything. Blanket statement.
So for me, there's a point of, if you're struggling, first and foremost, I'm an avid person for asking for help. Because again, like, you are struggling and you think you have all the answers. You are the reason why you're in your position. So asking for help is not a bad thing. Like, because I think it's super important to know, at the end of the day, it is on you, no question, because you can get the best advice in the world, but if you don't want to take it, your life doesn't fucking change.
And you know what we call people like that?
Assholes.
What do you?
Assholes.
No, 100%. And so that's number one. Like, if you're struggling and you can honestly have a transparent conversation with yourself that there's just things I need to learn, ask for help. There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't hurt. It actually makes you more powerful as an individual to drop your ego and be like, all right, there's things I don't know that I need to learn. That's number one. Outside of that, number two, I'm a huge advocate of being your best cheerleader, because at the end of the day, if you can't have some internal guidance system that holds you accountable and like keeps you on path, there's no amount of external coaching or anything else in the world that's going to fix that. Like, that's why, like, when I do client work, I tell them 6 months to a year. That's it. That's all you get with me. If you don't make the change in 6 months to a year, I'm not going to be the reason why. You're in your own way and I can't fix that. So if this isn't done in 6 months to a year where you're stable and consistent, we're done. I say that early because I'm like, this is on fucking you. And so I can help guide you. I can help do these things, but you have to take accountability of your life. And so that's a big one to me as well. Like, if you don't understand that your internal guidance system is a part of that process, you're just going to keep falling on the same stick again and again and again and again, waiting for the next resource that's at the end of the day is you. And so that's number two. Number three, I'll say nutrition wise, keep it fucking simple. Like, stop trying to make these. I think it makes sense when it comes to everything. It's like, it's not about keto, paleo, carnivore, vegan, vegetarian. There's only two things you really have to worry about. Like when it comes to nutrition and fat loss, calories, high protein lifestyle. Those are the two main components that make fat loss consistent, because you have to be in an energy balance deficit. That's number one. However, the feeling and vitality you get being in an energy balance deficit of Twinkies compared to the feeling and energy balance deficit you're going to get from eating lean steak and chicken and fish and eggs and egg whites and whole foods is going to be different in the long run. So at the end of the day, calorie deficit, energy balance, high protein lifestyle, primarily eat whole food. Like, I want, like, find foods you whole, like whole foods, fruits, vegetables, chicken, fish, steak that you enjoy, however you want to make it. Whole pizza. there's the third. But then again, like I said, this idea you can't lose fat and lose weight eating pizza. You can eat pizza every fucking day and lose weight. You can't eat a whole pizza. But if you ate,
I mean, Travis going, then what's the point?
So I'll be honest. I bet you say if you could eat like 1,200 calories in pizza and you ate like straight, like drinked egg whites, which was it's just straight protein, you could get away with it. You may be missing out on vitamins and minerals. So you have to get on a vitamin mineral complex. But if you ate just pizza and like drank egg whites to make up to the protein difference, you could probably get away with it.
For anyone listening to this, it's like, oh, I wonder if Travis is going to try that, and I want to see the results. I'm going to tell you right now, that answer is no. Eggs are on my cannot stomach list. Also included on the list is coffee.
Love coffee. Oh.
Yeah, I'm not a coffee person either. I'm more of a, I'll be honest, I'm a little naughty.
Hey, you know I'm up here in the Pacific Northwest, right? Starbucks.
No, it's Rain energy drinks and Bang energy drinks, baby.
Oh,
if you're gonna drink any coffee, it's got to be Caribou coffee. Let's be honest, because Starbucks is garbage. I like the.
It is. No. I'm just saying we're like in the coffee capital. So Starbucks is here. We have a ton of different chains, and there's one that I love. Batdorf and Bronson has the most phenomenal coffee, and I think Dancing Goats is one of their kind of their coffee joints. They call it Dancing Goats, but they serve only Batdorf and Bronson, and their coffee's fucking amazing.
See, I don't like coffee because I feel like my biggest thing is, and everyone mocks me for this, I feel like I gotta brush my teeth after I drink it. Like, I don't like the film on my teeth after I drink a cup of coffee. And so like I like, if I drink a occasionally I'll drink coffee in the morning, but then I have to brush my teeth. And so like I will never have a cup of coffee at 3 o'clock because I'm like, where's my toothbrush?
Oh my God, like, wait a second. At 3 o'clock, you should have stopped drinking coffee at 1 o'clock if you want to go to sleep. At 3 o'clock.
Challenge accepted, because I drink a Rain energy drink at usually like 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's 300 milligrams of caffeine.
Then he naps at
all
4.
I can say is if you have children, coffee is your best friend, and your children, if they value their lives, will not approach you until you've had your first cup.
That's fun. It's so funny.
That's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Rain energy drinks and stuff is so, like, again, caffeine is actually great in moderation, not good for you in excess. But again, like, it's like everything? How much, like, it's a crazy fucking concept.
I don't like everything. Yeah.
I got my dad hooked on Rain energy drinks. So if you guys don't know what Rain and Bangs are, it's like, it's just synthetic naughtiness in a can that tastes great. It's 300 milligrams of caffeine, but no calories.
One reason that the Marine Corps has so many cases of kidney stones in 22-year-olds.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
But if you drink 1 a day, 2 a day, you're fine. Anything above 2, you're in trouble. But 1 or 2 a day, you're fine. I know in the Marine Corps, they're drinking like 6. They
got rippets and all this other stuff. And like kidney stones are a naturally occurring phenomenon that happens to people in their 60s and 70s. Yeah. Marine Corps is like, what's the spike in this one particular thing? Oh, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-year-olds all have kidney stones. Our military readiness is impacted because they can't stop drinking Bangs and Rippets.
It's too fun. But what's so funny is, so I have a lot of friends on the very holistic side of things that would say anything like that is just battery acid. And again, if you're drinking more than 3 a day, I'd be on your side. 1 to 2, don't be ridiculous. I would just say, show me the data. If
By
I'm
the
1
way,
or 2.
you have to enjoy your life too. If you enjoy
Exactly.
it, I mean, anytime, like you said, with extremes, if you nix things out, what's the purpose? Right?
How
You're
does it
not
benefit
enjoying your
you?
life. Have a little bit of, naughtiness from time to time. By the way, that doesn't just include diet. We're going there.
Naughty is like my favorite word to go to, and everyone's like, "Why are you saying naughty like that?" It's like, "Oh, cheesecake, naughty." Getting a indulgence like purchase. I always think, "Oh, that was a naughty purchase." And everyone looks at me like I'm really weird.
This time of year, we're at the end of November. Like, this is the first week of December coming up here. Like, that sounds like a dating tactic. Like, hey, what are you doing later? Want to help me get on the naughty list?
And blocked. But the story was, so I was we have a lake house on Lake Michigan that my parents spend the summers at. My dad's retired now, and so they do summers at lake house, winters in Florida. And I'm drinking this rain, and a friend of mine who's this huge holistic, very on that side, but also a PA. She's a PA, physician's assistant, and she looks at me and goes, "David, how do you drink those? Those are battery acid. It was so bad for your heart." And then all of a sudden, my dad walks out on the beach, pops open one next to me, and starts drinking it.
The cardiologist
watched it. The cardiologist is drinking these, and she's like, her head almost exploded. And my dad's like, "Hey, don't drink them all the time, but it's fine."
Yeah, once in a while it's good. Oh my God, that's so funny.
It's just like, here's if any group of people, if any doctor hates energy drinks more, it's urologists and cardiologists. And here's a cardiologist sitting one back.
Well, he wasn't sipping it. He was shotgunning it.
He was shotgunning it.
Right.
Let's be honest. Hey, David, this has been a lot of fun today.
It was a
If
pleasure.
people want to get a hold of you, where's the one place you would want to send them?
Fit D-Rock is the easiest one. So all my social media handles, FIT_D-Rock, Instagram, TikTok. I'm really good at getting back to DMs. And so I stay on top of that really well. So that's my favorite communication is my social media.
Fantastic, David. Hey, thank you so much for being our guest today and putting up with Carol's nonsense. It's been a lot of fun.
It's been a fun conversation.
That's all for this episode of Titan Evolution Podcast. We hope this no-holds-barred conversation opened your eyes on what it takes to live a genuinely happy life according to your own terms. Now that you've treated yourself to such a refreshing discussion, you cannot listen to nonsense content anymore. Be sure not to miss an episode by subscribing to the show at TitanEvolutionPodcast.com. Don't forget to share the word so more people can be enlightened, informed, and entertained. Thank you for listening.